In an economic upturn, it's interesting you mentioned cash flow then. Cash flow seems to loosen up in an economic upturn. More money seems to come in. But there are also risks with that as well. We tend to think the company money is our money. And everyone's going, it is, isn't it?
I'm the sole director. It's my money, isn't it?
I'll do what I want with it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the ATO says no. But that's one of the things, I suppose that's point number 4 I talk with people, is realise if you're starting a company, that's not your money. Yes, you're earning it. You're the only employee from the onset. But going forward, you've got staff, you've got premises, you've got all these other bits and pieces, which, hey, the money needs to be retained in the company to ensure that these expenses are being met. And that's where cash flow comes in. And you see the nail on the head. As economic upturn is there, more money is coming through, hopefully.
Yes.
And, you go, well, I've got all this money, I can spend it.
I'll buy a plane.
I'll buy a plane. You'd love that, wouldn't you, Michael?
Yeah, I would.
So in those situations, we always look at, okay, if you are going to spend money, what's the return on investment going to be? So as I've mentioned in previous shows before, if you buy a new forklift for the factory, because there is more cash coming through, more clients coming, we need it. That's great. Do you need a new Foxtel subscription for the office? Not really.
Not really.
What benefit is that going to have? Or, looking at upgrading your own, let's say you're a director of your own business and go, money's coming in, I'm getting more of a wage.
Yeah.
Let's upgrade our premises. Let's go from a $400,000 house, we can afford $1 million house now.
Wow. Yes.
And I've seen it happen. And the advice I've given is, that's great now, but think about in potentially 3 to 4 years' time when you've got this $700,000-$800,000 mortgage looming over your head and there's an economic downturn when there's no more money coming through. Yeah.
Ouch. It's interesting you say that, and you mentioned property then. When we can feel an upturn coming, a lot of businesses rent their premises, they don't own them. Is this the time when you start looking at these things to see what current rents they are, what the current outgoings, what they should be locking in on, what they should be renegotiating?
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you're in a position where your lease is nearing to its ending time, have a chat with the landlord and go, listen, if you don't want to buy a commercial property and you're happy with where you are, lock in for a longer term. If you know your business is viable and it's going to be there, lock in for a 5-10 year term. The landlord would love you for it.
Yes.
They know they're going to get a guaranteed rental income for the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
But also for yourself, look at commercial property and say, hold on, is this premises where I'm leasing right now, is this going to service me for the next 5 to 10 years?
Very important.
So if you've got a 50 square metre office now and you're predicting your business is going to triple, let's say, for example, in 5 years, do you need more staff? Do you need more warehouse space? Do you need all these things come into play?
Yes.
And is your 50 square metre office going to suffice? So that's where we look at, hold on, it's actually more beneficial for me now. I've got the cash to put a big deposit on a commercial property. They're pretty cheap in an economic downturn. I may get one for a steal and, potentially lease it back to myself. The company will lease it back to yourselves as the owners. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And the leasing back pays the mortgage repayments.
Exactly
Or mortgage repayment, but the loan repayments.
Exactly right. So a lot of the ways I like to structure it is commercial properties owned by your family trust.
Okay.
The family trust leases it to your company. Obviously, it has to be at market rate, so you can't overinflate the rent because that's when the tax office starts knocking on your door.
Yeah.
But effectively, your business is not paying a landlord rent; it's paying yourself the rent. So you're paying yourself.
You said something that's interesting, and I only know this because of talking to yourself. The trust can own the property and lease it to you. There are a few that run self-managed super funds.
Yes.
But in my knowledge from what we've talked about, a self-managed super fund your self-managed super fund can't buy a property and lease it back to you.
It is very difficult too. Yeah. Well, you can if it's a separate entity. So you may be a director of a company, you're able to lease it back to you. So that's no problem at all.
Right, okay.
But then
it's more if you bought a house in a super and then tried to rent the house.
That's correct.
then that's a no-go as
If you
well.
buy your house to live in under your super fund, then unfortunately no. It'd be great, but no, unfortunately not.
They're
But
mean.
Yes. But there is new changes coming up.
Well,
One of the biggest banks have stopped lending for super funds as of 2 weeks ago. To my understanding, it was Commonwealth
Wow.
Bank of Australia, the CBA.
really?
Yeah, so that's out of the big four banks. I believe it's only one. I believe it's Westpac that's only.
What would have driven that? Is it because the super fund's protected and they can't get their money?
Well, no, it's just because the bank will always get their money regardless. So it's a complex structure that's set up, which is we'll chat for another day. But effectively, new laws came in probably about 10 years ago, where super funds could lend, to have a loan against investments, be it shares, be it property. Lots of stringent rules and regulations against it. Accountants hate it because it's you have to make sure every single box is checked and that loans are being repaid, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why the banks have stopped against it, because they feel that it's not a longevity issue.
Right.
And in my opinion, I feel the ATO will probably take a back step and take funding away from new super funds going forward.
So the commercial property being owned by the family trust, say for instance, and then leasing it back, that's a simpler structure for people to consider?
That's one of the easiest ways. Rather than having it in your own name personally, as mum and dad directors, having it in the family trust where it's once again protected via the asset protection, having the company acting as trustee. Lot of complex names I'm whittling out here, but having it in your family trust is give you the most asset protection for whatever happens outside of the company in trading terms and whatever happens in yourself personally.
So in economic upturns, it's not just the increase in business that you can be looking at the sales, it's your actual structures, so you can be actually maximising your profits in a whole range of areas.
Definitely, and that's exactly right. It's all about maximising the profits, minimising the tax, making sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck for your business.
Someone coming to you that's already in business, been in business for quite a few years, and they don't understand this. How hard is it? How complex is it? What levels do you take them to? And how do you get their head around this? So, they might be retiring in 5 or 10 years and going, I just don't understand it. I've heard trust. I've heard, leasing. It's just, look, I was a carpenter.
Yes.
I got into business because I'm a carpenter. I'm just really good at carpentry. I build great roofs and houses. I'm fantastic. But this is a bit beyond me. How does that work with an accountant helping them forward?
Well, as always, I speak with each person individually. Make sure they understand I put everything into layman terms as best as possible. Making sure that they understand what I'm talking about. Because if they are going to retire in 5 to 10 years' time, if they're at that stage of their life cycle, then we have to ensure if changing structures now is worthwhile, what can they do to maximise for sale in the 5 to 10 years' time? Do they have kids who are tradespeople as well and want to take over the family business? Is that something that needs to be done? So we ensure that that everything is done correctly at each step of each phase of what you want to happen. So if you do want to sell, we want to go, okay, how do we maximise profits for a potential buyer to want to pay premium for?